This week in WoW, a few things to talk about. We got some 11.1 updates here, probably releasing very soon based on some of this news. Some quick changes that Blizzard made, and the final updates likely to classes. So why don't we just dive right in here? A World of Warcraft 2025, I should say a word on World of Warcraft 2025. Blizzard released a giant statement, basically saying a whole bunch of nothing, let's be honest. This thing didn't give us a release date for 11.1, didn't really talk about much, just talked about, hey, WoW going ahead is going to continue to be WoW. We're going to continue to update all of the versions of WoW that currently exist. Classic, Classic Era, Classic, Classic Cataclysm, Classic Andes, Classic Your Mom, Classic Your Dad, Season of Discovery, War Within, all that stuff. So they just said they're going to continue doing more WoW things this year, which is fine with me. They did talk about player housing, which was probably the biggest announcements they made. Some updates on that. We talked about them last week. There's going to be neighborhoods. I think a bunch of server neighborhoods, guild neighborhoods. You'll be able to get in there and basically have your neighbors and all that stuff. A human version, a orc version, more versions to come. We'll see what kind of stuff they end up coming out with this. No beavers in the house, yeah. The Revan pack raises $2 million, over $2 million to support Cure Duchesne's, which is pretty damn awesome. Congratulations to everybody who bought one, contributed to that. That is pretty cool. Season of Discovery Phase 7. Naxxramas is now live for everyone doing SOD. Continue to enjoy yourself with those variations on old content. Cataclysm Classic. I'm not sure how many people are still playing this. Hour of Twilight arrives February 18th. Yeah, go do the Hour of Twilight again. Great. The Great Push 2025 continues this weekend. We know Group A, January 31st to February 2nd. That happened. Group B, February 7th to 9th. And then Global Finals. This is what's coming up here. February 14th to the 16th. Tune in to YouTube or Twitch if you want to watch those go live. And then it's more about the Undermine cartels. Blizzard released a bunch of information about the Undermine cartels that we're going to be gathering up reputations with. Some interesting stuff. Each cartel's got its own little flavor and own little rewards and stuff. Very cool. And also a lot of things about the Renown for these guys is it's very much, how do I say, cosmetic related, right? Not a lot of stuff that you have to get for player power, which is good. We don't like player power attached to Renown tracks, so that's fine. We'll keep it at that. The only Renown track that's related to player power is the raid one, which has been changed actually. So if you don't know this, the raid is going to give you a Renown track, right? And we've talked a lot about this and how I think this is actually an improvement on the game. Well, Blizzard listened to some feedback in terms of when we're getting dinars very late in the Renown track, like week 17 and 19. So they actually removed those, and they replaced them with some mounts. So we're going to talk a little bit about this. In hopes of not bearing the lead, the Puzzling Cartel chip previously presented in ranks 17 and 19 on the track were supposed to allow you to purchase some raid gear. Well, that has been removed. However, it is noteworthy that the feature isn't intended to be gone from the Undermine update entirely, just that they're moving away from it being on the Renown track. More details to come. Fixer Upper. Repair stations previously presented at rank 5 have been removed. This was supposed to give you an ability to repair, but they said it felt like it was kind of pointless because there's a lot of places you can mount inside of the raid itself, and people will just be using that to repair. So having repair there just seemed kind of pointless. Raid skips. So here's the other thing. Raid skip was supposed to come out in rank 5. Is now going to be rank 5, was rank 8. They moved it up on the track, which is very good, and they also attached it to the difficulty you are currently running. Before was going to be any difficulty, which is kind of weird. So basically now you will unlock the skip for the tier of raid you are doing. So if you're doing heroic, that's fine. You're going to get the heroic raid skip. I believe you got to do up to Mugsy once per difficulty rather than multiple times. So that's good. It's I forget which level or number Mugsy is on the track, but he is a boss in the raid. You defeat up to him on a certain difficulty, get rank 5, get the skip. That's good. So they moved the skip up to help people with their race to world first and all that other stuff with Mythic Plus and all that. Not race to world first, but I should say Mythic track rating. Lastly, taking rank 8 and rank 17 spots as a result of the previously mentioned removal of rewards is now going to be 2 more mounts. The Thunder Drum Misfire and the Dark Fuse Compactor. So now at rank 8 and rank 17, you will get 2 new mounts, along with the last mount in the Renown track, which is the Mecha Godzilla-looking mount, which is pretty damn cool. Now you're going to get these 2 mounts as well. So Thunder Drum Misfire is this little red rocket here. You'll be getting this at, what was I saying, rank 8. And then rank 17, you will get this cool-looking Hyena boy if it actually ends up loading here. The Hyena mount's pretty cool. First one that we've seen that you'll be able to get on the Renown track. So again, now there's going to be 3 different mounts you can get on the Renown track. The Rocket, the Hyena, and the Mecha T-Rex guy at the very end. So that's pretty damn cool. And remember, Blizzard already said, these Renown track, Sam's ego rank 1, these Renown track items will be available after the raid is all said and done. So you can always go back to this, an expansion from now or whatever, and get these mount rewards, which is pretty damn cool for anybody who's chasing mounts later on in the expansion. 11.1 PTR build is now in release candidate. That's right. This thing's coming soon, guys. I don't know what Blizzard's waiting for in terms of the release date. I still think it's going to be February 25th, that Tuesday. But here's the thing. Yeah, it's funny. It's funny that they haven't given us a release date. That's the truth. Sam doesn't read chat. Yeah, during the news, we're flying light speed here. But here's the thing, Blizzard's not flying light speed lately because they haven't given us a freaking release date yet, and yet this thing's probably hitting us in 2 weeks. So I don't know what they're waiting for. If I had to bet any money on it, I would say we're getting a release date this week. That release date is going to be February 25th, but it looks like patch 11.1 is now in, it's in waiting. It is now ready to go. Changes won't be happening anymore, so this is like a thing that is ready to be shipped out to the players. We just need a damn date. New Undermine Zone, Gallywix Raid Combat music. That's right, if you're a lover of jazz music, this is going to be your expansion because this music is very jazzy indeed. Here, we'll take a quick listen. A lot of this stuff takes on a, very, ooh, it's like a jazzy feel, what's going to happen next? Some bad guy vibes to it, very mob-esque. If you're into this kind of music, a lot of it feels this way. They must have hired a jazz band to do this whole thing. This is the Intercontinental Hotel music, very lobby-esque music. I'm a lover of Sam's Anguish. Does that count? Maybe. Also here, the Galagio. More jazz music. Yeah. Yeah, it's that jazzy vibe. It's kind of weird when you're hearing this kind of stuff in WoW because it's very outside of it. This is Drive related, right? So it's got that upbeat music. Yeah, we'll see how this all feels when you're actually playing it out, but I can imagine this driving around the city. And then probably what to me was the best one, the new Pirates one, yeah. I do like this one. Pirate Goblins. Yeah, this one hits the spot for me. Yeah, I don't know. This one's my favorite of the ones that I've heard so far. It makes sense for goblins. It does. Yeah, this one does the job with the pirate theme. I do like these. All this stuff will be linked in the chat below too. So if you want to listen to them yourself and get a feel for what the whole thing's going to be like. But yeah, very goblin-y, jazzy. It does fit the theme, I have to say. And then last but not least, probably the final round of changes here coming in for classes. Before the patch actually hits, because now we know it. This patch is ready to be launched. These are the final changes going in for some of the classes. I'll go through them very quickly here. It looks like Unholy's getting a little bit of a buff here to command their dead. The dead are going to be 10% stronger than they were previously. In general, Death Coil getting a little bit of a nerf here in terms of the amount of attack power that it's based on. Demon Hunter, seeing a little bit of Feed the Demon is now no longer going to be consuming a soul fragment, so that's interesting. I'm not sure what it consumes. A soul fragment and reduces the remaining cooldown of Demon Spike by 0.35%, or 0.35 seconds was 0.25 seconds, so that's a little buff for you guys. Hero talent buffs here. Immolation Aura is getting a tiny bit of a buff, so is Spectral Sight. These are little buffs, like point something percentage, so nothing huge. Fellblade also getting a tiny buff here, 0.6%. So these are minor changes here, nothing crazy. Demon Hunter saw their big changes just a couple days ago, and I talked about those in a separate video. Evoker getting a pretty damn big buff here to Eternity Surge, and Scintillation getting a little bit of a buff as well, happening earlier on rather than at 50%. Now happens at 40% power, so that's good for them. Hunter. We already know Hunters are in a great spot, but we see Marksmanship here. Aspect of the Hydra getting a nice buff here from 40% to 60% buff. Bullet Hell giving, what is this? Rapid Fire by 0.3 per second, reducing the cooldown. So it's a bigger reduction to cooldown here, so a nice little buff there for them. True Shot getting buffed as well. And Windrunner Quiver getting buffed as well. A double buff here, 50% to now 100% chance. So that's pretty damn good. Moving on to other talents here. Flanking Strike getting buffed. Frenzy Strike getting buffed. Mongoose Bite getting buffed. Raptor Strike buff. And Wildfire Bomb getting buffed. So good buffs there for Hunters. Hunters getting the love this expansion, honestly. Fury of the Wyvern also getting a buff here. Extended Duration is buffed. And lead from the lead from the front, or give a full frontal, also getting a buff here, so that's good for them. Arcane Mage getting a buff. Yeah, Arcane Barrage getting buffed here. 50% of spell power was 42%. Intuition getting buffed. Hyperthermia, Sun King's Blessing getting buffed. Or what is this? Getting nerfed a little bit. Deals 280% damage. Was 280, now 260. So a little bit of a nerf there. Unleash Inferno, a 10% buff here on the increase. So that's good for them. What else going on here? Spellfrost Teachings. A 2% chance was a 2.5% chance, so a little bit of a nerf there. Some rebalancing here happening for a couple of the mage classes, but overall, seems like a pretty damn good buff. Paladin here, Final Reckoning, getting a pretty damn big buff here. Used to deal 288% of attack power, now deals 505% of your attack power, so a pretty damn big buff there for Final Reckoning. That'll change maybe your rotation a little bit. Shamans have been getting a ton of love. A few buffs here or there. Whispering Waves getting reduced a little bit. It was a 20% of your healing waves healing you. Now 15% for a duplication on each other, on other targets with Riptide. So that's a little bit of a nerf. Hero talents here changing a little bit here and there, but nothing too crazy. A lot of every 4 times now going to 3. So those are actually buffs for Awakening Storm. That's pretty good. Warrior here. Warrior getting a lot of changes, actually, and a lot of buffs. Execute getting buffed here. Bloodthirst getting buffed. Raging Blow getting buffed. Rampage, Reckless Abandonment, Recklessness, all getting buffed across the board. Some pretty big number changes there for Fury and Furry warriors out there, whichever you want to call them. That's nice. I think Furry's been needing it for quite a bit, so big numbers for warriors there. These are probably the last changes we're going to see in the 11.1 PTR, as I do think this thing's hitting us in 2 weeks. So we'll see how this actually all plays out. But that is all in terms of news.